My name's Flynn. I'm here with Jeff Chen. We'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land in which we are streaming and creating from today, and pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging. There we go. My one job. Goodness gracious.
First
Jeff,
try.
let's do it again. What's up? How you been?
I've been great, and always my pleasure to be here.
It's great. It's great to hang out. And what's up, chat? I said what's up before, but you couldn't hear me. We've got Steve is in the house. Tina, Tara, Alessandra, Johanna's looking after us. What's up, everyone? If you're watching over on YouTube, jump over to behance.net/live. If you want to join the live chat, if you want to ask questions as we're going along, if you want to just say hi, it's always wonderful to hear from everybody. And it's great that you're hanging out with us today, or maybe in the evening if you're in the north. So Jeff, it's day 2 of Freedom Day in Sydney. We've been in lockdown for a long time.
Yep.
How have you been? What's been going on? What's new with you?
I've been holding on okay. The artist life is normally just at home and a lot of drawing, a lot of intake of inspiration, like games and all that. So I've been doing okay, but it's been wearing me down a tiny bit. So like the timing's pretty good for the restrictions easing. I guess I'll do a little intro about myself. For anyone who's not sure about who I am, I'm Jeff Chen, a concept artist. So I work in the video game industry. I have been doing this for about 6 years now, and I love like drawing fantasy characters. There's like robots or monsters, all that kind of stuff is all up my alley. I can share like a bit of my past work on the screen share.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, jumping over to your screen here. So this is your ArtStation profile. Yep. Yeah, awesome. So much amazing work on here.
You can see a whole bunch of variety of characters in here, some environment stuff as well. I've had the pleasure of working with like Team Liquid and like other studios like Wizards of the Coast and NetEase. And at the moment, just started a new job actually at Hidden Leaf Games. We're working on something pretty cool over there. If you like cool. League of Legends, you can look into that. Yeah.
Nice. How did that come about? Before we get stuck into it, I'm super interested in that. How did that come about? Did they see your work? Have you worked with them before? Like, how did you kind of get there?
So this actually relates to like another big part of what I do. So I like to do mentoring on the side of doing my full-time work. So I mentor aspiring artists, and this job actually came about from one of my students who worked at the studio, and they introduced me saying that there's a senior role, and yeah, that's how I got in contact with them.
That's so great. It's like this like giving like helping people out thing is like kind of comes back full circle, right? Like making these connections and getting to know people in your community and everybody helping each other out. That's fantastic. Well, that's very exciting. And we're going to be talking about digital speed painting, talking and doing. So I don't want to take up too much more of your time because not a lot of time to create. We're going to be here today. So today's Tuesday here in Sydney. And then on Thursday, we'll be back for kind of a part 2, but I'll let you get started. And just a reminder, if you want to say hello, we got Jake, we got Anna is in the chat, Rin as well.
Hey,
great to have you all hanging out. So yeah, if you got questions or want to say hello, we're hanging out in Behance. I'll let you get started, Jeff.
All right. So since we're approaching Halloween, I thought I'd do something a little bit on the spooky side. Nothing too creepy, but just something a bit fun, playing with the idea of like trick-or-treating. And I won't spoil too much. I'll let you guys kind of see what happens.
Awesome.
And in this process, I'm going to do something a little bit different from what I normally do. So normally you see me do speed paintings and it's all about like the big brush strokes and all that. But today, since we have 2 sessions, I'm going to start off with a little bit of line art just to show how that process works. And I do have a few tricks. especially like if you're using a symmetrical composition, then definitely you want to use this symmetrical tool on our lovely Photoshop. Is this working correctly? Okay, cool. So, and also just I also have like smoothing on as well. So this is really great if you want to create those really nice smooth lines. You can turn this up even more if you want it to be even smoother. I find that 11%, something like that, is like the magic number. 12 even. So I'll just be
getting
using
specific
this.
About it. 11 or 12%.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
If it's 13, it won't work anymore. 10, no. Maybe. 11 or 12 is good.
Nine's trash. Yeah, got it.
9, no way. I'm going to be working with the symmetrical composition since it's going to be easier to set everything up. Get that doorway of our trick-or-treat scene set up. And while
like kind of
before I did this,
lines almost.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm kind of seeing since the doorway's here, I want to look up at the door. That's kind of what I'm trying to do. So I already have some imaginary perspective lines doing something like this. I did set up like the horizon line nice and early with this this initial line.
Right, is that the darker horizontal line there?
Yeah, pretty much.
Nice.
So it is going to be spooky theme, and I have some reference for that I dug up before the stream. And that's something I want to talk about today, like reference and the use of it and its importance. I think it's something that's commonly overlooked by people who are just beginning, or they feel like that they might be copying the reference too much. But even for professionals, it's really common for us to use reference. And like whenever I start any type of project, whether it's creating new characters or just doing some type of illustration, I'm going to have reference with me to help support my ideas and create believability and even inspire new ideas as well.
Where do you keep this stuff? Do you like use Pinterest? I know a lot of artists might use something like Pinterest, or save it, or what's your method of like keeping inspiration when you happen across it?
I think Pinterest is really, really good. That's what I normally use. I hear other people also use like, what's it called? PureRef is a good program since it can overlay over the screen, but you can still paint on Photoshop.
Oh yeah, I think I
Pinterest
saw someone
is
using that in a recent stream, and I made a note and I completely forgot about it.
Yeah, it's super useful. I think I've worked with a lot of other companies that have used it, but Pinterest for me is very useful because I just like to grab things off the internet, and like Google Chrome has a nice Pinterest extension where you can just press the save button over images and then it does it for you really easily.
Yeah, so you can do it like super quick if you just like stumble across something.
Yeah. All right. Scene's pretty much set up already. So that was a little bit faster than I thought. I can just hold, the good thing is about like these lines and like doing architecture is that you can just, on your brush, just hold shift, like press the first point, hold shift and then press on another point and it creates those straight lines for you.
Yeah,
so
nice.
Yeah, pretty much done here.
That's it. Any questions, let us know.
Yeah, that's all done.
That's cool.
So now I'm just going to turn that off and make this feel a bit more natural by breaking the symmetry. And the cool thing is I can always apply that symmetry back again. I can use the last used symmetry and bring that back if I want to reuse it and add things to the scene.
Yeah, cool. What about you, chat? I'm interested to know if anyone uses the symmetry tool. I know we have a couple of illustrators, definitely have quite a few illustrators in the chat. So do you use the symmetry tool in your artwork as well? Or is it something like you want to try out that you haven't really tried out before? Or you're like, oh yeah, I get it, but I don't really use it. Super interested.
My dog drinking, by the way. He's very vocal about that.
What's your dog's name again? I forgot. It starts with B?
Bobo. Yeah.
Bobo, yes.
Bobo. Yeah.
What's up, Bobo? Welcome to the chat.
He wants to be heard. Wants to be known. All right. So now's the fun part of this illustration. Going to be setting up a spooky host for this house.
Nice. always loved Halloween. I've always been disappointed that it's like an American tradition that didn't really make it, like hasn't quite like made it over to Australia.
Yeah, me too. Trick-or-treating, I remember I tried to go when I was young, but it wasn't, like no one really came to our house for trick-or-treating, and like when I went, there wasn't anyone around. It was just me and my brother, I think.
Just walking around like dressed up as zombies or something, like with an empty like candy bag. Yeah, same. I did the same thing. I was like, yeah, let's do Halloween, and then there's just, it's just not a thing, unfortunately.
Or getting like families that aren't prepared and they give you really old chip packets.
Yeah.
That are almost expired.
Yeah.
All right. My plan for this is to paint over this afterwards. So the lines are useful, but I'm not going to try to like refine them for the moment. I'll keep it quite loose.
Yeah, Steve in chat, I can't understand why Halloween hasn't caught on in New Zealand either. Kiwis love to dress up most other times for no reason. Yeah. Just wish it was a bigger thing. This is cool. So I noticed you flipped the canvas then. Why did you do that?
It's a really good trick for checking your artwork and sort of refreshing your eyes. It's something like I do with zooming out as well. So when we can like create a bias with how we view our artwork when we stay too focused on like one orientation. So flipping it resets that so that you can see if everything's balanced and if there's anything weird compositionally. And it's just like something, I don't know if you guys done this before, but like when you draw on paper and then like you draw a face, it's like symmetrical, and then you flip it and like put up to the light and you can see it backwards and it looks completely wrong. That's like the same thing that happens here. So that's helping you check to make sure that doesn't happen. And if you flip it and it looks wrong, then you can fix it quite easily.
Nice. That's cool. What do you think, chat? Let's see if we have any guesses on what this is. I'm not going to guess because I think I have inside info. But as this takes shape,
hope my sketch is readable.
Yep, Jake says, I thought for sure Halloween would be a thing in Australia. Yeah, it's not. I think there's like, I don't know, when I was like in my a little bit plus teenage years, there'd be things like dance, like, you know, if you could go out and they would do Halloween themed stuff and everything, but just around the neighborhoods and kids like walking around and stuff, that would be so cool to see, like, especially in the suburbs and stuff, like kids dressed up like crazy creatures and things.
Yeah, I think the most we get is like clubs or bars being themed like Halloween, or we have like house parties that have Halloween theme.
Right. Exactly.
But nothing, we don't have the whole trick-or-treat culture.
No. Let's make it happen.
Starts with you and me, Flynn.
Yeah, it starts here. Alessandra, there's no Halloween in my country too, but I'm in US at the moment. Is it everywhere in the US, our US friends? Is it like, you know, particularly like certain states that do Halloween, or is it like statewide? Are there kids out in Alaska, like dressed up, like getting candy and stuff? Because I noticed, like, you know, a lot of the US, a lot of the streamers are US based, and so there's a bit of like Halloween stuff happening right now. Like everyone's into it. It's super cool. It's like dress up and everything.
Yeah, it's a shame we don't get to see like really cool Halloween costumes walking around.
Yeah. At the moment, my Instagram's just filled up with people that are either back at the gym or at the pub. Like being out and being able to get out and about for those in Sydney at the moment. But no creative outfits.
You can tell it's desperate because it was the first day was Monday and everyone's already out on a Monday evening.
I picked up. Okay, so like, I drove past the pub to pick up my daughter from preschool yesterday at like 3:30 in the afternoon, and the local pub was like packed.
Hopefully, COVID's contained.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah. check it out. So we've got a question from Greg. Are you using a Wacom/Cintiq tablet here? If so, which size?
I'm using a Intuos 4, and this is the medium. I've tried the large, and I think that's a bit too large for me. Like the hand movements, at least for me, like I feel like when it's restrained like this, I have more control. It does take a little bit of time to get used to, but you know, for desk space and everything, I think the medium is a really, really great size. I've used a Cintiq before as well, and I think I still prefer the Intuos purely because of like posture issues. I think with the Cintiq, you have to like either hunch over like this, or like you have the screen up here and then like your arms are doing something weird. But on this, like I can just like face forward and keep my back on the expensive chair that I bought. It's like I've got to make use of it, right? So this is like the perfect tool for it.
Expensive chair is a very good investment if you're spending most of your life sitting at a computer, though.
Yeah, I can't like recommend it enough. It's pretty much like a bed, right? You spend Well, I spend possibly more time on my chair than on my bed.
Me too. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think it's a good point. Although I still need to get a decent bed. That's for sure.
Me too. Mine's kind of old.
Yeah. Jake says, watching Jeff paint is like a time lapse so fast. Yeah, I'm always like crazy amazed by Jeff's process. And if you check out some of the other streams as well, like it's a slightly different approach. Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong as well on this. But often like Jeff won't do line work. And we'll just be like begin painting. I think the last stream we did was also a kit bash. Is that the last one we did?
Yeah. That was the last one.
Yeah, which was completely new to me. I did not know that word existed, let alone like its adaptation into like creating like 3D artwork or like creating illustrations, bit of both. So that was a learning experience for me. And so check that out. It's like an even totally different approach. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, but basically taking elements from one illustration or drawing or something, and then using those elements to create something totally new. And that kind of blew my mind. So if you want to check out even more crazy stuff that Jeff has up his sleeve, check that out.
I always try to innovate, but it's more because when you have like a very strict time limit for work, then it's like there's something about like the lazy people thing, right? Like being lazy. Wait, what's the quote? Is it a quote? Like the lazy people will do it in like a smart way than like trying to.
I know what you mean. I can't think of the quote, but I do know what you mean.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So it's partly because I'm lazy, but then that stuff worked out and became like a useful tool for work.
Yeah. For the Australians in the chat, have any of you seen the Halloween buses last year? They all the moustache stickers on the front. Oh, I did see that. Yep.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. No, it was a Halloween thing. There you go. I just thought crazy moustache. Jacob, Halloween is nationwide here in the US. Okay, interesting. Yeah, everywhere as far as I know. Kendall, okay, cool. Alessandra, in my country we do trick or treat on Christmas Day. What? Okay, that's new.
That's confusing.
Interesting. Probably depends on the neighbor you're in, but I would say there are probably people trick-or-treating in every state. Interesting. What's up, Gareth? Gareth is joining the chat. Good to see you. Very cool.
Okay. Not too much to talk about in terms of... I do have like a few tips for line art for anyone wondering. I think it's important to... I do it quite fast, so it looks like I'm quite sketchy. But when I'm trying to do my clean lines, try to eliminate those scratchy lines. You don't want to be completing lines with multiple. So what that means is like if you're trying to create a line like this, you don't want to be scratching it in. That's no good. And the great thing about digital is that we have that undo button. So what I like to do is when I have lines that I want to create, like this horn line, for example, this one. I sort of in my mind, I visualize 1 point here and 1 point here, and that's sort of my target. And I'm going to create that line and not accept anything that isn't perfect. So if I create it and it's like, oh, well, that was pretty good. But if I did one, it's like off like this, then I'm going to undo and keep redoing it, and let my hand sort of practice that gesture and that motion until I get it perfect. Okay. And yeah, people say, digital isn't a great tool for learning, but I believe it's the opposite. Like, we have this option to undo and like we can keep progressing in our artwork while practicing like the motion over and over. So I think that's like a pretty useful tip that really helped me.
Yeah, that's a great tip. Like, not trying to, because it seems like you do it really fast as well, and by doing it really fast and like kind of confidently, you're going to get that really nice curve, that really nice line, and with the pressure sensitivity and everything, you're going to get that nice kind of gradual like fade, I guess.
Yeah, especially with smoothing, I think that helps a little bit as well. But to be fair, I do think there is a bit of disconnect between our tablet's motion and like our hand motion. It's never going to feel exactly the same as paper, but that smoothing does help a little bit. And yeah, like even if you can do it on traditional paper, I think the feeling of a tablet is still different. So it's important to practice in digital.
Very cool. We were taking guesses before, like at what this was, obviously taking shape now. Was it? Jacob asked, is this Raven in her big demon form? Interesting.
Raven? Is that a League character, I'm guessing?
Yeah, Justice League, right? I'm guessing.
Oh, that Raven. I was thinking League of Legends.
I could be totally wrong. Yeah, maybe it is League of Legends. I don't know.
I'm not really familiar with League of Legends either.
So I was like out of my element there. Back to the line work thing, Kendall says, in the words of my drawing teacher, no hairy lines. Oh, that's cool. Is that kind of coming back to the scratchy thing that Jeff was mentioning? Interesting. I like that.
I'd like to call it like chicken scratches. It's like a chicken like scratching the ground for, I don't know, whatever food they're looking for.
Very cool. I like that. Well, we were talking about Diablo 2 Resurrected before we started, and this is giving me like Lilith vibe, or maybe Andariel.
I definitely I saw that in my references before as well, and I'm trying not to look at that so I don't get too attached to that reference.
Right. Is that something you have to make sure you do? Because you're talking about how important reference is, but then at the same time, then you're just sort of saying, I don't want to, because you don't want to copy it, right? So do you have to? So do you have to stop yourself, like looking at it? Do you look at it like once at the beginning, maybe reference it a couple more times if you get stuck? Like, what's your relationship with the reference material?
So yeah, that's a really good point that I didn't get to mention just then. It's like you want to have a good variety of references. I think that helps, and then just making sure on your reference page you're not just having that one image open. You want to be flicking between multiple, and when you notice you're looking at one too long, you should be trying to switch over and looking away or like finding other references. But it's something you have to consciously do, because you can very easily like unconsciously fall into the trap of just looking at one reference.
Nice. Very cool. So it's Justice League Teen Titans. Okay, I wasn't super far off.
Okay, you can almost go to the painting stage, I think. That's where the fun begins.
This is great because like you can just imagine like a couple of little kids like dressed up as Spider-Man and like and like knocking on the door and then
I plan to have like the kids silhouettes out here running away or something like that.
It's really cartoony, like puffs of smoke because they've like run away.
Yeah.
We got another great question. So this one's from Jeff. Greg. Do you ever scan a drawing from paper, or is this now superseded?
Yeah, I did that when I was pretty young before. Like as a kid, I liked to draw on paper a lot, and then when I wasn't too familiar with digital, that was like the workflow I used. These days, I find sketching on digital easier and much faster. So I just do it here. I don't have to scan it or anything. And a lot of my work, I just do it on digital as well. It's not like I do any sketching on paper before, or like to create ideas or anything like that.
Mm.
I want to make this feel like she's popping forward a little bit more, so I'm going to force that perspective. Ooh.
Very cool.
Yeah, just imagining doing that on traditional gives me a headache.
Right.
Like grabbing areas and just resizing it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have any like you switch around like your brushes and things like really quickly? Do you have any like custom shortcuts or anything like that you set up, or do you like Photoshop out of the box?
I do have a few changes. Normally I like to keep everything on the left side of the keyboard, so I have sacrificed a few other shortcuts, like the text tool. For me, that's resizing my brush to be larger. I forgot what that was, but that's to make my brush size smaller. So yeah, you hear the clicking a lot. That's me resizing my brush up and down. In painting, you'll hear that a lot. My undo, I set to F1, and then F2 is my flip. So I had to create like a manual shortcut for that. And then I'm like zooming in and out with Z. So this is called scrubby zoom. You just hold Z and then you tap on the screen, and then you pull it left or right, and it will like zoom in or out.
Right.
Which is pretty handy. Cool. So everything, yeah, is accessible to the left side of my keyboard.
I've been noticing that a lot, like with artists like customizing Photoshop a lot more. I don't think I saw it all that much, maybe a year or a year, maybe 2 years ago or something like that. But I feel like people are like doing that a lot more, and it makes a lot of sense. Like especially something like Photoshop that has like, 20 different things that it can do depending on like what you're into and what your output is and stuff.
Yeah.
But that's interesting. I was not expecting you to say like F1 and F2 for those shortcuts. But it makes sense. That's cool.
It's much faster that way, I think. And then it's pretty much muscle memory to touch the tools.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, maybe it's got something to do with gaming and how you want to change like your setup on games. So then it's like, why don't I do that for my Photoshop setup too?
That makes a lot of sense, because I definitely customize things
Yeah.
in my game. I should put the same effort into Photoshop process. The F1s and F2s, you're reminding me a lot about the aforementioned Diablo 2 Resurrected, because it's got my hand popping those all the time. Got a great question from Alessandra. Question for Jeff. When did you know you wanted to be a character concept artist, and was this always your style?
No. So when I was really young, I started off working, not working. I did a lot of anime art. So I had a lot of influence from like cartoons, anime, movies, that kind of stuff. It's only when I was 23, which was about like 7 years ago, that I saw like videos on YouTube about people doing concept art and speed paintings and all that. And then I also saw like the behind the scenes of Hearthstones and seeing people paint on like Cintiqs and all that. I didn't even know that existed at that time, but seeing that and then seeing people designing the characters behind all that, I didn't make that connection for a very long time, that there was someone's job to like design these cool characters. And once I realized, that's when I knew like that this is like the job that I want to go for.
Yeah.
And the career.
Oh, awesome. And thanks for the question, Alessandra. That's a great question. I think a lot of people like struggle. I think it's a question that comes up a lot. Like a lot of people are kind of looking for their style or looking for their, like, I don't want to say niche, but like looking for the, like, you know, maybe even calling. You could go as deep as that. Like, what is the thing? Maybe they like to draw, but how can I make a living out of doing this? Or, you know, what am I doing different than what's already out there? That kind of thing. So it's always really interesting to hear from artists and creatives to find out, you know, how they got to where they decided they wanted to go.
Yeah, I really think following your passion is important, like for your own self-fulfillment and for a career, because you're going to be putting a lot more effort, like learning and like investing time into improving that craft. And at least for me, like that worked out. I don't know if it works out for everyone, but yeah, I feel as long as you enjoy what you do, then you're going to try your best to improve at it, and you'll get results from putting in that time.
Yeah, that's cool. We're about halfway here, and we're a little bit over halfway, and I just wanted to mention, so all of our guests, so the next couple of weeks are all people who have created, are speaking at Adobe Max, and in case you didn't know, our boy Jeff here has an amazing session at Adobe Max. So that's one of the reasons why I haven't been on Adobe Live for a while, because I'm like, you focus on Adobe Max. Once that's done, we'll come back here, because it's quite a feat. It's quite a lot of work goes into that project. But do you want to give us a little bit of a teaser, maybe, or about what your session is about?
Yeah, it's a lot more on that painting side, but sort of related to the question that I was asked just then. Well, not really. It is very much about like artistic growth and staying on top of that learning mentality, making sure you don't get burnt out and all that, and the ways I overcame that. A little bit about how I got into art as well, and just showing off that the painting process. And yeah, I wouldn't say too much, but yeah, it shows a lot of like the speed painting process and my thoughts in that. That's
super cool. Well, definitely check that out. There's obviously heaps of stuff going on at Adobe Max. You're probably hearing a lot about it if you're a regular on on Adobe Live and you catch some of the other streams and stuff. But there's a lot of sessions going on. Jeff's is awesome. I got to see it. I've seen a sneak peek, and super great. So if you're enjoying this, definitely check that out. Add that to your agenda. You'll really enjoy it. And I think Johanna has shared the link in chat as well. And of course, if you haven't registered for Adobe Max, check it out. There's so much crazy stuff. There's way too much to even watch. I don't think one person can't watch it all, because there's multiple things happening. So I'm sure there's something for all of you there. It's totally free. So go check it out. We've been working on it all year, and I hope you like it.
Please do join, and I'll be there chatting live as well that day. So if you have more questions, I'll be there to answer.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. I completely forget about the live chat component as well. It's such an interesting thing, like, because I work on a lot of live events. So I should say like physical events, and it's so like such a unique situation we're in with like a digital online event, that the person who is speaking, because it's like pre-created content, most of it, can be in chat, like answering questions and saying hi to like the guests. It's almost like you're in the audience with everyone watching,
sitting
yourself.
Next to you. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, hey, what did you mean by
like
that?
My video?
I totally meant this. Yeah. Like and subscribe. Yeah, for sure. So it's an interesting. I don't know. I think it's interesting.
I think it's cool. It's like I'm in the audience, but at the same time I'm sitting next to everyone.
Yeah. I feel like what it must be like if you're like an actor, and then you've created a movie and you're watching like the screening for the first time, and you're sitting next to everyone, seeing like if they like it.
Yeah.
Will the sessions in Adobe Max be recorded? Do you mean will they be available after? The answer is most of the sessions will be. I know there are some that aren't. I think it's mostly the musical things that might have like a musical component to it, but the majority of things will be available like after. So, if you're torn between watching this one or watching something else, for the majority, you'll be able to kind of go back and just check it out on demand. If that's what you mean, let me know if that's the answer to your question. Back to Jeff. What is one day you were surprised to learn, Jeff, doing this kind of work? Do you mean like maybe, Alessandra, do you mean like maybe one thing you were surprised to learn doing this kind of work? Let me know if that's correct. I love what you did with the door just then.
Yeah.
I blinked and you just added all this depth.
So that kind of worked with the lighting I was setting up. I wanted to frame the character by using lighting to do that. So the contrast there will frame and make us look in this area, make us look at like these little leg areas that are sort of popping up with a bit of light. And then that, I guess the door does frame her by having a darker shadow up top. Yeah. And then we don't get too much contrast down here. If we make like the door black down here, oops, I don't have the selection anymore. But if we made it darker down here as well, then I think it'll be less effective. That contrast won't be centered up here.
Interesting.
What is one thing you were surprised to learn?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So one thing I was surprised to learn, I think that the process of creating a character for a game is more focused on like the game design than the story. Like we're not really worried about the character's backstory, how I don't know, their parents were murdered brutally when they were a child or something and they're trying to get revenge. It's not something like that. We're more focused on this character is going to be like a DPS character that's going to move very fast through the map and something like that, or they're going to be very tanky, and we want to design around that. The story and narrative behind the character is important, and that comes afterwards. It's sort of when we get more visuals from my side as the concept, that then inspires like the game designers again on their abilities, or the narrative side for what the backstory should be for the character.
Oh, interesting.
So I think that was like very, very interesting.
So you think like, so sometimes the concept artist can then inform the game a little bit. Like you might be adding things in and they might say, oh wow, I didn't like visualize this character looking so agile or something like that. And then that might kind of like reinform like discussions around balancing or like where this character might fit within a composition or in the game, or as the baddie or something like that.
Definitely. I normally like to, like when I get my brief, I like to do a safe design, and then I like to do a design that I think would fit the theme well, and then I have one that's just like a completely wild design, so that maybe
like
it incorporates something new.
Crazy one.
Exactly.
Nice.
So for example, like a knight or something like that, we have our stock standard knight. Maybe I'll try and make the shapes look interesting, maybe try and make it a little bit more edgy looking with triangles and all that. But in my own design, maybe I'll try to add like a dragon theme on top because I like that kind of thing. And then on the third design, I might add something completely random, like a seashell themed knight.
Right.
Where the armors are inspired by seashell shapes. That's
cool. That is wacky. Seashell. Like they've come out of the ocean. That's super cool.
Yeah.
Does that stuff ever, because I'm thinking about, and I just think about the few games that I play. I think about Overwatch. Like Overwatch does a Halloween skin thing. So I've just seen the new Halloween skins for, it's like has that ever happened where like you'll create kind of the wacky one and then they might use it for like, DLC, or you might say, oh, this is a really cool themed one for Halloween or Christmas or something like that?
Yeah, that does happen. Quite a lot actually, because I think that workflow that I use sort of encourages that. Yeah. And it helps like the marketing team think of skin ideas as well. So you're doing a lot for the whole team than just like trying to figure out your own job. So definitely a good workflow, I feel. And I don't know, hasn't really backfired yet. Fingers crossed.
Hasn't really backfired yet. Famous last words.
Oh no.
So I noticed that you're using purely grayscale. This is like fully like black and white at this stage. And so why that approach in this particular one? Are you trying to like color comes later? Like obviously it will come later, but I guess black and white. Why is that?
I think a fundamental of painting is that values, which is black and white, are pretty much king, and colors are sort of more like an illusion. Colors will still relate to like a value, and although like we might not be able to translate that, we can still see it and feel it, and it all comes back to contrast. Like we want to control our values so that the contrast is in the right places. So working in grayscale first allows me to really focus on that and really bring out where the lighting should be. If like if everything is reading correctly in grayscale, then when I translate it to color, I have certain techniques to retain that and make sure that translates over, so that that hierarchy is there for which parts like will visually stand out.
Cool.
And yeah, digital, again, like I keep saying good things about digital because I really believe digital is like the future for art. We have so many tools for us to do that, and it's not something you can really do in traditional artwork. So definitely something I take advantage of in my workflow.
Nice. That's really cool. How are we doing for time? We've got about 12 minutes left. So if there are any more questions, the chat has, now's a good time to throw them in. Oh, and a reminder that we're back again for part 2. So this is part 1, and part 2 is 48 hours from now. So wherever you are in the world, 48 hours from now is when we'll be doing part 2, which is Thursday here, Asia Pacific kind of time zone, and North America, I think that'll be your Wednesday afternoon.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing a lot more. I think in the painting stage, a lot more things happen quickly. Just like in here, like going from a flat color or a flat value into adding some lighting and some value changes. This is where all that contrast comes out. And to show the importance of contrast, like comparing the line art to where it is with just some values on there, I think everything starts to pop and read. So I can't stress enough how important it is to understand values and get a good grasp on that. And if that's a fundamental you haven't looked into too much, then yeah, I'd look up some resources on that. And YouTube's like a great place for that. Or maybe Adobe Max will have some stuff that talks about values.
I'm sure there will be.
Maybe my presentation.
Check it out. Greg asks, I can't see the layers panel. Are you using this a lot? Oh, is that because I've
yes.
got my cameras over there? Sorry about that. Let me move my little cameras out of the way. It's always really difficult to know where to put our like overlay cameras. But yeah, I'll move it up.
My setup. Oh well, I'll put that back later. But right now, I do have things laid, and I think I'll just reverse quickly just so you guys can see what happened. So started off with just some context. So the scene, it's just pretty much the doorsteps of a house. And then I started with a very light sketch like this. And then I turned the opacity down for that, or the fill, either one works, to do my clean line art, which ended up here. And then I started to add some more values on, give the door a darker background that will frame the character, and the character gets some light with a clipping mask.
Super cool.
I think that's everything so far. Yeah. I did have some light down here, that's right. And I'll probably add like a overcasting shadow on the ground.
Amy L, that's a scary lady. Yep. Fear. Is
maybe this lady's the reason
Halloween
why.
themed. Sorry, go on, Joe. You go.
I was going to say maybe she's the reason why we don't do Halloween in Australia. The spiders are evolving.
Yeah, true. There's something like particularly creepy about like multiple eyes.
Yeah, I agree. And a mix between human limbs and some spider limbs. You don't know which one's which.
Very cool. So you're just merging that clipping mask down? Is that what you did?
Yeah, I think I want to work quite quickly, and I feel sometimes layers do get in the way. So when I feel there's enough of a base for me to move on, then I'll just merge everything. So then I'm not restricted by flipping through different layers to find what I need to work on.
Right. So you kind of get it to a certain point. You're like, yep, I think that's where it needs to go. And you're like happy. Yeah. You're not concerned about having to go back in time. Like it's where you need it. And then you merge and move on.
And it's always there. Like I can open this and select the silhouette if I need to. So I reserve I preserve a little backup just in case I need it.
Right. Yeah, Steve says this is looking mega cool. Yeah, I agree.
Going to be adding a lot more detail to this area. And again, just to nail like that point in, I want to have a lot of contrast in this area. That's why I really want to pick up the values here and make sure there's a lot of variation between dark values and lighter values in here.
Are you thinking much about like the direction of the light and shadow at this point? Like I'm just thinking about how it's almost like no light where she's coming out of. Not no light, but it's a lot darker. So I guess I'll just keep it at that. Are you thinking much about the light and shadows and where the source or sources of light will be at this point?
Yep. Yeah. I'm thinking that there is some kind of overhang that ends maybe up here somewhere. So then the light can peer through and hit that face and hit a bit of these limbs. And it happened to just work for framing as well. And a lot of art is like that. You have an idea that works for the composition, and then you work things around it to justify that lighting. Like for example, if I feel her body doesn't stand out enough, then I could probably introduce a rim light here.
Right.
And then I can justify by saying maybe there's a TV screen or something back there. And then I try to make this feel like there's a low glowing light in the background back there by using a soft brush within that area. Like this. And now it kind of feels like there might be a light back there.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know if I want that. I think I like to keep the framing up here.
Yeah. Okay, so you could kind of, the more you add to those other features, could take the eye away a bit from where you really want the focal point.
And that's a big fundamental for speed painting. You're not going to be able to render every part, but you want to make sure the part that you want attention to be is rendered to a point where it feels interesting and somewhat complete. Because when people view the artwork, they're going to be looking here. They don't really care about how that leg looks or how this leg looks. They'll probably care about how the parts that come forward look, like this hand and this hand. So I'm going to have to render that. But it's good to establish these important areas. So knowing that this, and this will be my key focus areas, and then focusing on there, that it saves you so much time, and it's good practice for manipulating your viewers and their attention.
That's great. And being efficient, there's some comments in chat just talking about how quickly you're going and how efficient you are at working, and that seems to be such an important thing. I mean, time is money, right? And time is important. Time is the most valuable resource we have, whether you're being on a paid project, if you're doing something for fun, if you're trying to learn something. Getting those efficiencies up just means more that you can do, more you can learn, more you can output, more you can be paid, more you can create the work that you love and all that sort of thing. So efficiencies is such an important aspect, and getting efficient and knowing where to spend that time. Hearing you say that and saying these are the main kind of focal points, because of course you could spend an hour on that back leg if you really wanted to, but if in your experience really you just want to kind of have the audience focus on those particular points, means you can kind of move on, get it done faster, get some things done, make another coffee, go for a walk Bobo. There's things that need to be done.
He's waiting for it.
Just have a few minutes.
I just looked at him and he's staring at me.
He can't hear me right now. You've got headphones on. That's good. We've had that before where like someone's used speakers and then I've said the dog's name and it's lost its mind.
Oh no!
Stream, freaked out. Luckily, that was before we went live. We worked out that headphones would be a good idea. It's just this like voice that the dog didn't recognize coming through the speakers in their place, and I was like, "Oh, hey!" And then, the dog lost its mind.
That creeped me out.
Yeah, poor dog. Just a few minutes left, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, Alessandra says, "Amazing, Jeff. You're very talented."
Thank you.
Says it's always a pleasure to watch Jeff's workflow. His efficiency is very satisfying. Yeah, exactly. It's quite mesmerizing, isn't it? Oh, that's cool. Well, as we're finishing up, just 2 minutes left. Steve has mentioned, we're talking about like Halloween kind of streams that are happening right now. Laura Valentino Romero's Halloween-based stream. You can check that out after this. So,
cool.
You want to go check that out? Have a look when we finish up here in a couple of minutes. And he says, "I do miss Bobo." Fair.
Oh, hey, Amy.
Might be someone you know.
Yeah, Discord people. Something I've sort of neglected these past few months, actually. Work's gotten a bit too busy. But hopefully I'll be back there when I get more time.
That community stuff is very time
It's hard
heavy.
to manage.
Yeah, very hard to manage. And it's constant, right? You got to kind of keep it up. Definitely something that's very difficult and I think underrated on how much time and mental energy that sort of thing can take. But yeah. Okay, we got one more question. Let's see if we can get to it. 1 minute left.
Yeah.
I'm going to make Johanna very nervous here. Back to traditional bent again. Do you have a small sketchbook on you all the time to make sketches while you're out and about? We'll leave the question of that. Yeah, do you carry a sketchbook or anything like that to sketch out, or are you just fully digital kind of at home?
I'm fully digital, and if I do have anything like a sketchbook, it would be my iPad.
Right.
I take that to travel and I do small artworks there every now and then.
Cool. Well, hey, I think we're going to have to leave it there. We're going to run out of time to say our goodbyes. This is looking awesome. Thanks so much, Jeff. Thanks for your super fast and also answering our questions, answering my dumb questions on stream. It's really great. So it's always very impressive watching you work. Thanks for hanging out with us.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me, Flynn.
Yeah, my pleasure. And so we'll be back on Thursday for part 2. Hang out with us. Go register for Adobe Max. It's awesome. Check out and register for Jeff's session as well. Thanks for hanging out with us, everybody. And we'll leave you with the Adobe Max little outro thing. Thanks again, Jeff.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
See you, everyone.